the ark brought to Jerusalem. David again brought together out of Israel chosen men, 30,000 in all. He and all his men set out from Baalah of Judah, and to bring up from there the ark of God, which is called by the name of the Lord Almighty, who is enthroned between the cherubim that are on the ark. They set the ark of God on a new cart and brought it from the house of Abinadab, which was on the hill. Uzzah and Ahio, son of Abinadab, were guiding the new cart with the ark of God on it, and Ahio was walking in front of it. David and the whole house of Israel were celebrating with all their might before the Lord with songs and with harps, lyres, tambourines, sistrums, and cymbals. And so, what we are looking at here is David, once again, was able to defeat the Philistines. From the previous Bible study, David had defeated the Philistines. The Philistines came out and they unfortunately were able to kill Saul, and they took some of the Israel's land, and so as well as obtaining many things from Israel. However, now we have David, who was proclaimed leader years ago, and now it has taken over for because David also has now been anointed and became king over Israel. And so now David is in charge. David is king and he is in charge. And so, but one thing that is striking me is that they have the Ark of the Covenant, and it's not being carried, it's being placed on a cart. So we'll see what happens with that. But according to the original agreement, the ark was to be carried by Levites and on poles and such. So because the ark is holy, the ark represents or is a part of what the Lord had Moses built, and it was to basically representation of a covenant between the Lord and Israel for all time. And so it was to be holy and it was to be treated as such. So let's continue to read. When they came to the threshing floor of Nechon, Uzzah reached out and took hold of the ark of God because the oxen stumbled. The Lord's anger burned against Uzzah because of his irreverent act. Therefore God struck him down, and he died there beside the ark of God. So, again, remembering this portion from previously reading, Uzzah they had already were in the wrong because they placed the ark on a cart. So they were already incorrectly transporting the ark. They weren't doing it as agreed upon, as commanded. They were just transporting it, treating it as significant but not important, not following all of the laws and rules that were set before them. And so Uzzah, whether he was thinking that it was out of the goodwill of his heart, but obviously he was already not thinking, because had he been following correctly, he would have told David, he would have corrected or scolded or whatever, to David, and said, hey, no, we cannot treat the Ark of the Covenant this way. We have to do as what we were told and have Levites carry this on the poles. Levites who have dedicated themselves to the Lord, and those are the ones that can carry the ark. And so now we have Uzzah. I know a lot of people, when they get to this part, they're like, well, he was just trying to make sure, and they don't understand why Uzzah would die because he touched the ark. He was trying to prevent the ark from touching the ground. Well, it was the whole thing. You have to look at the whole picture. You have to understand that there were well known communication between the Lord and Israel, the Hebrews, as to what the covenant was, the ark was, how to transport it, what it meant. And so they knew that this was incorrect, but at the same time, they were like, well, maybe it could be, maybe we'll be forgiven, or maybe, we're the good guys. It's not, they're putting their own righteousness and justification before the Lord's. Do we do that? Yes. Yes. So we think sometimes of good things, right? So we think we know all of good and evil sometimes. And we think that we ourselves, you, I, myself, people we know, friends, family, whomever it may be, including people who are leaders, or but we decide what's right and what's wrong sometimes. We put our own thoughts about good and evil in charge. We take our own righteousness, and yeah, sometimes we do put it above the Lord, and that is wrong. As we can see, that is wrong because we don't know the truth about good and evil. We don't know. We may know what evil is, but then we start putting our own dignity and our own prejudices and our own pride up against things that we believe are incorrect. And that brings in that pride, brings in that arrogance, which is also can be attuned to sin, by thinking that we are correct, you are correct, I am correct, and not looking at the whole picture. So that's why you have to, when we look at this and we understand about the story, at first, just reading at face value, you have some feeling for Uzzah because he reached out. He wanted to protect the ark, or he wanted the ark not to fall off the cart or hit the ground or whatever it may be. However, they all knew originally that this was not the way to transport the ark of the Lord. And if these people didn't know, they needed to ask. And there were people there that knew. It's just they were thinking. They weren't thinking. They were just trying to hurry up, do things, whatever it may be. And so the ark of the Lord was not being properly taken care of or properly transported. So whenever you have questions with what things are, what things we read, what things you read, especially in the Bible, always look at the whole picture. Always look at the whole picture. Reread passages, go back and look, do additional research, and all in all, as well, give it to the Lord. Pray to the Lord and ask for guidance and ask for clarity, because the Lord will provide that. The Lord will provide us the wisdom and knowledge that we need. So, with just the beginning, what kind of thoughts or feelings come to your mind? How does it make you feel, and what does it make you think?